I'm going to call this meeting to order. As you are able and willing, please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening. Thank you all for coming. First up is public comment. We've had no one request to give public comment tonight, so we'll move right into the report of the secretary. If I may have a motion, please, to approve the minutes of our last meeting.
I move to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of Wednesday, September 6, 2023.
Second, Jen?
Okay. Anybody find anything? I gave them a quick read through. They look good to me.
They look great. Looked it over right before the meeting.
Okay. If there are no questions then, all in favor? That is 5-0. Thank you. And that brings us to the report of the chair. Actually three things on my list. One of them didn't make the agenda, and I will apologize for that in a moment. Our MSMA Fall Conference online registration is now up, and Terry has started the process of getting us, those of us who have asked, registered. So just a reminder, it's the Thursday and Friday, October 26 and 7 maybe? 6 and 7?
Yep. Joe, is it 2 days this time? Last year, I think it
Yes.
was just the one.
Well, so what typically has happened is board members from here have gone up for one of the 2 days.
Okay,
Check out the list of
yeah.
the clinics, decide which day is
Okay.
better for you.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll be up there for both days because
Right.
of my involvement with the MS,
okay.
or
I just wanted to be
MSBA.
sure we were doing that.
Yeah,
I looked at the programming and I couldn't decide which date I prefer to go.
I know.
So I might do both
Yeah.
if that's an option.
it is absolutely an option.
Okay.
Well, your registration will get you both days. Question is, do you
Alright.
stay up there, or do you drive up
Yeah,
both days?
I
or-
would stay.
Yeah,
We'll
we
stay
would
together.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be great.
We'll figure
You
it
want
out.
that?
I was
Yeah.
going as well.
Good.
Yeah.
All right.
Excellent.
Well, thanks.
Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff on the agenda this year, on the
Yeah, there is.
list of
There's a
clinics.
lot.
Okay, that's the first thing. Secondly, MSBA, the regional meetings have been going on. Our Region 9 meeting was last week. I attended. We talked about the resolutions that will be voted on at the delegate assembly. I did mention your suggestion about ELO and alternate pathways. Steve Bailey, who is our executive director, said he thought there might already be an existing resolution that didn't get any work done on it this year that deals with that. I went back and looked. I found one, or actually two, that deal with it a little bit. So he and I are still iterating on that. I don't know whether that will make it into this year's resolutions,
Yep.
but if it doesn't, it will certainly be in next year's.
Great, thank you.
Okay.
Thanks for doing that.
Okay, and then thirdly, it didn't make the agenda because I forgot to put it on there, but we did have our town officials meeting last Wednesday. Lisa, you were there? You recall being there?
I was there, and of course, I left all my notes
All
at
your
home.
notes at home.
Oh my
I
gosh.
have mine
That's
here.
okay.
That's all right.
Yeah, perfect.
So
I
we-
mean, I think
we
we were
had-
both furiously writing, so.
Yeah, we had good attendance. Both towns were represented as well as the district. We talked budgets generally. Ryan did a review of the enrollment numbers and the ED 279 impact. Let's see what we talk about here. Elliott has got November articles with financial impact on their ballot in November. Town hall renovation, which includes a voting place, which will move the voting out of our middle school, and 2 new meeting spaces there. They've got $500K, an article up for renovation at the Murray Row Park. The 236 work continues, but the buses have been getting through. He's shooting to have all of that work done by 10:15 and is
Great.
moderately hopeful that it will actually be done by 10:15.
Oh, bummer.
In South Berwick, the budget work is going well there. The TIF districts have been yielding fruit. They expect to have the lights up at the junction 236 and 91 by the end of October, which is awesome, because I think they've previously been talking about Christmas. The downtown TIF district is moving forward. The downtown revitalization plan is moving forward. It's likely to be 2 years to the final design, and then by 2026 or so, he's expecting actual construction will begin, and that probably is going to involve lights at both 236 in Maine and Maine and Portland. That's the thinking, and it'd be 2 years to complete the project.
Can I ask a question about
Yes.
lights that were on it.
Yeah.
So I know that when they did the traffic study out here at the high school,
Mm-hmm.
and it was found to be basically like there was no need for light. Was it only like a stop and go light for the intersection? Has there ever been any discussion, do you know, about a light like to cross over to now where there's the cafe, the grit gym, what's that, whatever that.
Like a pedestrian
place is?
crossing light?
Yes, like a
I
light
don't
that you can cross, you don't know if that's
I
ever
don't
come
know.
up.
I don't know
Okay.
that it's ever come up.
Oh, maybe
Okay.
nobody ever asked.
Makes me nervous because I remember
Yeah.
the DOT saying that basically by today's standards, they wouldn't have been allowed to build the school here because
Okay.
of the basically the highway
Yes.
that we're on right now. So let's bring that up
I
at the
just
next
didn't
meeting.
know if
though.
that was part of the light discussion
No.
there, or if it was only traffic
Yeah,
light,
yeah.
okay.
So they also talked about expanding of the winter maintenance of 236 all the way down to 101 in Elliott. They're getting a new plow to handle that, but it's state funded. There's this ongoing discussion about what they're going to do with the town hall. John, you talked about the meeting with the two chiefs around school safety and in-building training for first responders, the focus on attendance, the sort of, I wouldn't say difficulty, we're in decent shape, as we'll hear in the F&F report, in transportation, but late registrations and things like that have caused us a little bit of churn there. I think that was pretty much it. Tim asked if we were going to build a new central school. We said no. Anyway, okay, that was the,
It's a light topic.
well, in conjunction with the whole discussion around the renovation of the downtown area.
Yeah.
So is the town hall being renovated, did you say?
There's, to my knowledge, there's an ongoing discussion as to
Oh.
whether to build new or renovate or what.
TBD, but the
Yeah.
pushback was, well, you need central school updated before the town hall. And like, so he was like, I just wanted to ask you that. Have you been talking about that? We're like, no.
Nope. That completes my report and moves us into the report of the superintendent.
Thank you very much. The first thing I have on the agenda is just kind of an update on the proposed board presentations. So you'll find in your folder just some proposed dates with the certain presentations. One thing I would like to add is that on October 18th, I've had a request from the Marshwood Hall of Fame in Excellence of coming to present the work that they've been doing. So they've done an incredible job of creating some criteria, nomination, and how do we create this way to recognize contributors to this school district over the past number of years. And so pretty neat stuff, and Rich has done a great job of getting a group of alumni, teachers, community members, and so just a really good thing. So if the 18th makes sense to you, I'll solidify that for Mr. Boswell.
Okay.
Yeah, that
Is
sounds
that
good to
okay?
me. Yes, very good.
Okay.
Good.
And then just kind of spacing things out, we have the attendance initiative update. We'll update on the 6th, but there's going to be a lot more of that as the kind of year goes along, as we kind of are just trying to track data around that. Presentation on BAR and how that's going. The Career Center update, just really excited about the work that's happening here with the Career Center, and I think that the school counselor in charge of this is just knocking it out of the park with the work that they're doing, so I'm really excited about it. An update on the elementary health position and what we're doing with the health instruction at the elementary schools. Talking about the outdoor education, that was one of the board's goals that we wanted to talk about. So what does it look like at the elementary schools? And what are we doing? And then talking about the secondary as well. And then at that point, we'll really be in the heart of the budget season then. And so that takes us through to the end of the year, and that obviously leaves a lot of space as topics come up that may be points of interest for the board that you can kind of see how things are laid out. Just to say it, because I just think it's always important just to, because one of the philosophies that I try to approach this with is that our standard format has always been that our elementary school principals attend the first meeting of the month, and our secondary board members attend the second meeting of the month. And so when I create the schedule, I just try to be mindful of that, to try
Sure.
to have this, let's have Brett do his presentation when he's here already.
Yeah.
And so
Makes
just,
sense.
there are certain board meetings, the first meeting of the year, the budget presentation, the community meeting where we have everybody present, but just, that's one of the things that I try to look at when I create the schedule.
Makes sense.
Any questions about that?
And then do you continue to fill in the slots that don't have, is that how?
Yeah, and if certain topics come up,
Okay.
you know what, this came up, we'd like to learn a little bit more about it, so we have some flexibility. And then there may just be some inherent, conversations. The Midas report will be something that we'll cover. We just don't know, we don't have it back yet, so we don't know when we'll have the data and when Sally's available, but we'll add that as well
Okay.
to the presentation, so.
When do we expect that data back?
Shooting off the hip, I think, I hope November, December
Okay.
would be great, maybe
Okay.
January, but I'm hoping November. I'd like to get that back because that really helps guide our work. And this is,
Right.
as you know, that's one of the things we're really trying to work is how do we use data to inform how we do things in schools. So it's a great data point. And it was some concerning data the last time that we got that information. So,
Mhm.
we've made some changes. We want to see and what the impact is having on that.
Yep.
Great, thank you.
One of the clinics in the fall meeting is on use of the MICE data.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Okay, next, just kind of it's already started, but we are in flu clinic season right now. We are partnering with Northern Light Healthcare. Judy Doran is really helping kind of coordinate that, and so we were at the high school on yesterday, on Tuesday, and so that seemed fairly successful. When I was here around 9:45, it sounded like there was like 39 to 40 people had been in already at that point in time, so fairly successful day,
Very
and we'll
good.
kind of migrate across the different buildings across the district at that time, so. Opportunity to get your flu shots. This is, big picture. We want kids in school. That's a big picture idea, and that's one of our district goals. And so, I have a meeting scheduled with Gina Brodsky and Sally Mannanen, with Brett and with Christine, I think it's next week, to kind of go over and talk a little bit about like how do we help students and support them if they're vaping or if they're having substance abuse issues. And so like systematically, like what is that proactive and what's that therapeutic approach? We're trying to balance those different things, right? And trying to find the balancing of how do we educate, how do we react, how do we manage if someone is struggling with addiction, how do we do all of those things at one time? And really with the idea is that we want to have students in school. And so one of the things that has kind of come up is that the high school, middle school use an in-school suspension as a tool for students, and I am not advocating of removing that, don't misunderstand me, but trying to think creatively about what can we do in lieu of having a student sitting away from their class for the day. Are there some opportunities that we could provide extra time? Rather than losing classroom time, is there extra time that we could involve? And so I've had brief conversations with both of the principals, and wanted to talk to the board a little bit about this, that I would like to pursue this a little bit to see what it looks like, and that may mean that we try a Saturday morning program for a few months. We may try a Friday afternoon program. We might have to coordinate with transportation to be able to arrange transportation for students, because we certainly don't want to create bias around that. But what can we do to keep kids in the classroom? Like, that's the big idea. And so I just wanted to share that with you tonight and just kind of say this is something that we're trying to look at a little bit differently. I want to tie this in together with the work with Sally. What I would love to be able to do is, and I don't know the acronyms, so forgive me, but SERP is really an educational program around substance use. And so that's a restorative practice around that. And so I would love to be able to create an opportunity where we would offer SERP on Saturday mornings, once a month, let's just say, to have that opportunity for students who may have been caught with tobacco or what have you, as an opportunity for that kind of that restorative practice piece. There are things, though, that we have no tolerance for. Safety, violence. Those are things that those are non-negotiables where we have to remove people from the setting at times because of the seriousness of the infraction and making sure that people are safe. And so this isn't to try to support, to get rid of that. And so we're trying to find that balancing act of how do we have restorative practices, how do we have clear expectations and guidelines to maintain a decorum within our building, but at the same time we want to be able to differentiate and be supportive. And so we're trying to do a lot of different things. And so this is the beginning of conversation, and we might find 3 months from now it doesn't work at one building, or it does work in one building, or it doesn't work for us. It may be great. I don't know what it's going to lead to. But I just don't ever want to get accused of not trying. And so that's, I think, one of the ideas, and I just wanted to share with all of you tonight, just to kind of let you know what my thought process was. Any concerns, comments that you wanted to? Okay.
Sounds great.
Yeah, it does sound
Worth a
great.
try. It's great.
Great. Next thing is just, I did speak to the superintendent in Rollinsford, and they were able to make the 15th of November and the 6th of March work for a kind of our workshop that we have with them twice a year, a 45-minute workshop from 6 to 6:45 here in the Learning Center. If those dates work for all of you, I know we talked about it once, I just want to confirm. And then we can start to kind of build that agenda of things that we want to kind of have on that radar to talk about. So do those dates seem to make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. And then I'll work with Chairperson Long over the next couple of weeks as we meet, just to start to build that, what are those things that we want to be able to put on that agenda? What are some things we want to keep talking about? So, perfect. School safety update, our principals, as we said, September 1st, we wanted to have full implementation of ALICE, and so that's where we are right now. And so, my phone went off a couple of times today of just, we're trying to navigate 360 app, and how do we use that to be able to manage a fire drill, and how do we account for students that are missing. And so some good learnings happened today, which is really good. I guess one of the things I'm really proud of is that we have really been able to build a very collaborative relationship with our fire departments and police departments locally, and that's something that hasn't always been necessarily part of what we did. We kind of worked with each other, but not necessarily collaboratively with each other. And I just really had the opportunity 2 weeks ago to sit down with Chief Ruger, Chief Moya, Chief Hamill, and just have a conversation about how do we work together. And so one of the things that I have offered is that if you need to come in here on the weekends and train using our school buildings, please let us do that. I mean, that's an opportunity that we want to be a part of, and how do we help? And we want you to be invited to our fire drills, because, the reality is we know how to teach students, but it would be great to have the fire chief at our fire drill saying, you know what, time out. That doesn't make a lot of sense. Could you think about it this way? And so anything we can do to keep kids safer, they're the experts. They're going to know what's it look like when 5 fire trucks pull up at the back of Marshall Middle School, like what makes the most sense, and be able to have that set of eyes, as opposed to, we might be thinking more about like student management, student order, attendance, where they're like, we're worried about putting out a fire. Like that's what we're concerned about.
Right.
So really getting that voice.
So that wasn't part of the practice before at Marshwood?
I would not say, I would say that there was many times where we had fire drills, we just planned them and had fire drills. And not necessarily, the fire department wasn't always invited. Sometimes the fire department would show up and say, let's have a fire drill today. So now we're just trying to communicate that ahead of time, and so, and then how do we use fire drills to create teachable moments for students? And so really working hard at that. And then it will continue to evolve. And so we also met to talk about the role of the SRO at Marshall Middle School. We've had that transition has happened, and so it's now kind of, we're really going to our full second year. We kind of had our toe in the water a little bit. And so what does that look like, and what is that role, and how does that evolve, and what works best for us? And so it's been a great conversation where we're kind of brainstorming a little bit and just kind of finding those kind of non-negotiables and those things that we want to be mindful of. So really happy with that work.
Great.
And then I just wanted to mention that on Saturday, September 30th, we will have the dedication of the Matt Ricks Wrestling Center, and that will take place in the afternoon. I believe it's 2 o'clock here in the former Learning Center, current Career Center. So excited to have that opportunity and to honor Coach Ricks, and so obviously everyone's invited to be able to attend if they're able to do so. And that concludes my report.
Over to you, James.
Mr. James, student
James,
report.
welcome.
Welcome.
Hi, thank you. Okay, so sports. So football, the Hawks have won 2 games since the last meeting. One against Biddeford, 46-6, and one against Gorham, 30-27. For boys soccer, the boys team played Deering last Tuesday. They lost 0-3. They unfortunately lost to Falmouth 1-3 this past Thursday, and yesterday they played Westbrook at home, and the boys lost 1-3. The girls' soccer had a game postponed against Scarborough due to the weather. They lost 2-1 to Sanford, and they have a game tonight at home versus Kennebunk. For field hockey, they've won 2 games, one against Bonnie Eagle 2-1, and one against Portland Deering 1-0, and they lost a game against Massabesic 2-4, and yesterday they played Chevrolet and lost 0-10. Volleyball has won against Massabesic 2-1. They lost against Portland, and they won last night 3-0 against Wells, and they have a game tomorrow away at Gorham. All meets for cross country have been unfortunately canceled in the past 2 weeks. However, the Hawks are getting ready for a home meet tomorrow. And for golf, the golf team has had a really great season so far. They've played Massabesic, Biddeford, and Kennebunk over the past few weeks, and their record is 4-2. For Student Gov, we had our first General Assembly meeting on Thursday. We talked about, different committees, general topics and areas we need to cover this year. Exec Board has been talking about ensuring a more welcoming and kind of safe space for students. And we'll be communicating with Mr. Hookturp in the coming weeks about new ideas. Overall, Student Gov is off to a great start. We have our largest exec board to date. We've expanded to include sophomores. We're working on reviewing procedures so students know how to reach out to Student Gov with their needs or concerns or ideas, and what our process is to support the students. And then for extracurriculars, not a whole lot has happened. They're still trying to gear up, but Interact Club has their first meeting tomorrow at 8:30. Presidents this year are Rowan Waddell and Hadley Pruitt. And math team has had a few practices in the past few weeks. They're really just preparing for their first meet on October 4th. Really lots of clubs are just kind of trying to get started right now. And this month's theme being school spirit, excitement is definitely rising as Spirit Week is next week from the 25th to the 29th. The homecoming dance will be held in the gym on Wednesday the 27th from 7 to 9:30, and we will end with a big pep rally on Friday. This week in advisory, students have been working really hard at decorating their advisors' doors, and the best door wins a special surprise.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's cute.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you, well done.
Thanks.
Well
Thanks.
done. That's right.
Okay, that moves us to correspondence. We have not received any these past couple of weeks upon which to report, so we'll move to the report of the committees. Facilities and Finance met earlier this evening. I'll give the update on the numbers and the facility stuff, and then Heather will take over with the rest. Let's see, so general fund cash balance is a little bit lower than we'd like to see it, but we had a 3 payroll month in August, which accounts for that. Expenditures are running actually just a tiny bit behind budget, so that's good. And revenues will pick up as we get into the school year. Adult education is just a tiny bit below even, but we're expecting that to pick back up again, and as it always does, it will spend itself down to 0 by the end of the year. Food service is down a little bit right now, but we're expecting that to recover as well. Nothing to report on federal grants yet for this year. We had a slightly different format on the revenue expenditure monthly report, which I'm actually, the more I look at it, the more I like it. It very clearly states current and year-to-date on both income and expenses. We've had about 3 or so major expenses that are more or less one-time expenses already paid out, so that it's good to have those behind us. Lease payments, property and casualty insurance, and the boiler payment for this year got made as well. So overall, we're in very good shape financially. Yeah.
Cool.
I think that's what I have to say about that. Now, on the facilities side, let's see, the deck behind the Great Works School is complete. It includes an ADA ramp to the upper playground. It's an 800 square foot deck. That's a pretty good sized deck. There's a ramp from the lower to the upper playground that's been constructed as well, so that's all good news. The Project Adventure course work at the high school is getting underway, and that will also be accessible to emergency vehicles. That's important to have. The new window for the wrestling room will hopefully be completed this week, which will be in plenty of time for the ceremony on 9:30, so that's good. The generator at the middle school will be getting its initial startup this week, and hopefully that goes well, so that in emergencies, things like water and heat will be available. My favorite, the Gaga Ball Pit, will be delivered this week at EES, and Todd's got a plan going to get that together as time allows. So that'll be cool to see once it's done. And stage 1 of the upgrades that are required for the diesel fuel system at the bus garage has been finished. There's a concrete pad and an 8-foot fence around the diesel pumps. That work will continue over the next year or so to get that fully up to snuff. Heather, you're going to do transportation and food service and stuff?
Yes,
Thank
so
you.
transportation update. We're still short a driver, but again, if anyone out there is interested in becoming a school bus driver, then please reach out. We'd happy to have you. Things are going all right. It's been just a little challenging managing the routes with lots of family changes in their schedule, location and things. So the routes have had to be modified here and there. The wheelchair van will be delivered in a week or so. So that's great because then we'll be able to return the rental van that we're using right now. In terms of food service updates, the food service manager was met with and reviewed the start of the school year. And the ordering is still planned 3 to 4 weeks ahead because they're just trying to stay ahead of the supply chain shortage and just trying to avoid substituting out products for other products. So they're just planning in advance. We are short 3 people in the cafeteria. So again, here's another work opportunity for you folks. If you're a parent that wants school hours or guardian or whoever, please reach out. We have some great opportunities for you here in our food service department. Energy efficiency and recycling initiatives, which is very important to this particular board and our administration. The Clink pickups have started. They started last week, which is great. So not only will we be recycling, but the various schools will be putting monies towards their various initiatives. And LED upgrades for the schools are just about done. There's a bit more work that needs to happen at the Great Works School, and then Elliott soon to come, but it's all looking good and on schedule as far as we know. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Heather.
Okay, Ed Policy meets next week,
Next
right?
Wednesday.
So we'll get a report out at our next meeting.
May I just add something?
Please?
We went to a conference today provided by Drummond and Woodson regarding a lot of the main law changes that have occurred over the last year. And so there will be a number of policies that we'll have to review. Interestingly enough, Narcan, there is now a state requirement that every student at the high school be offered the opportunity to be trained in how to administer Narcan. But it has to be held after school. It's an extracurricular opportunity. It's not happening during the school day, but that will be something that would, as we talk about policies, we'll have to be able to implement that. And so that may be as simple as maybe asking our athletic trainer or a nurse to do it on a certain day. It's not a long training, but it's quite a shift. And so some of the things we're going to have to address in some policies, but just so you're aware, that was one that jumped out at me as we talk about policies. We're talking about that as a policy next week. So sorry, but it's one
No, that's good.
Get on your radar.
Very good, thank you. And Wellness SEL will next meet on October 4th. So we'll get a report out on that at our next meeting as well. Okay, that moves us into new business. First being a motion, please, to approve an application for fundraising.
I move to approve the application for fundraising at school events for Marshwood High School's Integrated Studies class for an annual Valentine's Day themed fundraiser to help fund a Student's Choice class trip.
Second, Heather.
Heather, thank you. John, did you want to address this at all? Big
I think it's
sales.
just Mrs. Murtha's class.
Yep.
Looking for an opportunity to have students kind of create an opportunity to, kind of use some of their skills and create a kind of fun chance to raise some money for a trip that they get to plan. And so kind of hits a lot of initiatives for some students.
Yep, and because they're asking for an annual
An
event.
annual that would come to the
It's
board.
come before us. Any
Yes, that's correct.
questions, comments? All in favor? That's 5-0. Let's do this. Very good. Motion, please, with regard to a second application for fundraising.
I move we approve the application for fundraising at school events from Marshwood High School's. Oh, I'm
Same.
sorry.
I know. It's the same.
I wrote in the wrong thing. Consideration, I move we approve the nomination of Elizabeth.
Nope, nope,
Oh,
no,
no,
we're
you're
on the
right.
second
It
one.
does-
You
it's
were
the
right.
same.
It's
It's
exactly the
slightly
same.
different. It
There-
looks the
there-
same.
yeah.
I did the same thing.
Yeah,
The second
one
one
and two
is-
are very similar.
Holiday.
It's not,
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm Yes, gotcha. We approve the application for fundraising at school events for Marshwood High School's integrated studies class for an annual holiday-themed fundraiser to support a charity of students' choice and help fund a class trip.
Second, Heather.
So just to kind of reiterate, this is students using math skills. This is students using cooking skills.
Yeah.
This
Yes.
is students learning how to advertise. So really those lifetime skills to be able to give them the
Absolutely.
opportunity to kind of build this business and then see the fruits of their labors with an opportunity for a fun trip for the kids. So.
So I'm so confused. Are we talking holiday-themed and Valentine's-themed? Sorry,
Two
got
diff-
it.
two different fundraisers,
events.
yes.
All right. I'm
Similar
on it
but
now.
different.
And they're on
Gotcha.
the front to back if you're looking.
Oh, that's what I'm missing is the other side.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any comments or questions? All in favor? That is also 5-0, thank you. Very good. And lastly, a nomination, please.
I move to approve the nomination of Elizabeth Matowen, school nurse, Marshwood High School, school year 2023 to 2024, BA 11, 59,918, prorated to start date to be determined.
Second, Rebecca?
Rebecca, thank you.
And what's the TBD, like, is it just she's busy, or?
Yeah, yeah, I'm glad you asked. So, the ball's rolling down the street already. And so school started, and we've got to find a way to get all hands on deck as quickly as we can. So Elizabeth has a Bachelor of Science in Nursing and a Associate of Science in Nursing. Been a substitute school nurse, and then also works currently at Mayo Medical Center. And so she has commitments at Mayo Medical Center through Indigenous Peoples Weekend. And so her official full-time start date would be that Tuesday, the 11th, I think. When we were talking, I pushed my luck a little bit and asked if we could possibly bring her in 5 days previous, because I think she has to work 3 days, scheduled 3 days at Mayo Med 1 week and then 2 days another week. If we could bring her in 5 days prior to that to kind of do her orientation at that time.
Yeah.
And so when she starts on that 10th or 11th, that Tuesday, she can hit the ground running and kind of know how the systems work and arrange the training with Judy and Brett and Kelly and Tony to be able to kind of learn how Marshwood High School works, and so to try to hit the ground running faster. And so the to be determined is what we'll likely do is have the start date be that 11th, and then we'll have 5 days per diem in addition prior to that date, just so everybody's aware.
Thanks for finding someone.
Yes, for sure. Just curious, how are we covering in the meantime?
Judy Dorn.
Okay,
Yeah.
Got it.
She's helping us, and we also have another sub, so we
great. Excellent. Any questions, comments? All in favor? That is also 5-0, thank you. That concludes our new business. We have a building administrator check-in, and we have the upper grades represented tonight.
So, whoa, that is not made for me. Okay, so is this, I don't need it. So, at the middle school, we just started implementing BAR on Monday. So BAR is building assets and reducing risk, and I know that we're gonna come soon to discuss what that is, what it looks like, in the whole package of that. It's already started off great. We're having enriched conversations about students, how to help them, how to find resources for them, and also already building on positive communication with families for attendance and for staff. So it's been an excellent push out since Monday. So we're really excited about that, and the teachers are doing an excellent job adjusting to that schedule. Our co-teaching is also going really well. The teachers are working together. They're really coming into a ritual and routine for each other. They're also getting weekly updates about tips and best practices for co-teaching. So they're starting to implement those nicely and try to figure out how to best meet our students' needs. Hawk Pride Fridays are happening every Friday at our school. So we are encouraging all staff, all students to wear purple, gray, or any of their Hawk gear to really show our pride and our appreciation of our schools. And the last 2 Fridays have been awesome. It's just filled with purple in the middle school, so it's really nice to see. So we also are starting to implement Hawk Pride assemblies last Friday of every month, except for November, because November is like super quick. So what is going to happen there is each month we're going to celebrate a student on each team who demonstrates our core values of courage, respect, compassion, honesty, fairness, and responsibility. This month is Compassion, which has worked nicely with Suicide Prevention Month. And these assemblies will also highlight students through our Hawk tickets, well, I'll tell you about in a minute, and we're inviting families to come for those students that are being honored. Our Hawk Pride tickets we just created those, and on the tickets, it has all those core values. So if a teacher sees or a staff member sees a student in the moment being courageous, being honest, taking responsibility, being fair, they get a ticket. And then they fill it out for that core value that they got. They put their name on it, they put their grade, and then they give it to the designated teacher on that team for the assembly. And at the assembly, each 6th, 7th, and 8th grade pick out of that bucket, and that student will be honored as well in front of their peers for having that core value being displayed. And I didn't do this last time, but our custodians are rocking it. They will drop everything for our staff if something is needed. So big shout out to them. Our school is looking wonderful. Our administrative assistants are working really hard we have 2 new ones, and they're really working hard to figure out how our systems work, what school life is like on the inside. So, and that's been going very smoothly. And our ecology club, all of our clubs are off to a start. They're all doing well. We're already talking about sprucing up the school, taking some old stuff down. Junior National Honor Society is looking to change out some posters and put up new things. We're going to be working with the ecology club to have our garden out front look a little bit nicer and spruced up. So when you go by, it'll look very inviting. And that's all from the middle school.
Thank you.
Just a few things from the high school. First off, I want to follow up on the Navigate 360 app. We've had a couple drills right now, and ultimately what we're trying to do is change from the old format of teachers would go outside and they would fill out an attendance slip and hand it to somebody. So that person's got 55 of these things coming in about a 3-minute span of who's here, who's not here, and we're now starting to use the app. So the app allows every staff member to go out, whether it's on their phone or on an iPad, and first they check that they're safe. And then they're able to go into their roster and check the kids who are present. Now, if they're missing a kid, they can put missing or they can leave it blank, because if another teacher has that person, they too can check them even though they're not on their roster. And our accuracy from drill 1 to drill 2, which was today, went from 70% to 88%. And the 88% problem was really, we're trying to get used to these iPads, because what happens is the iPad works great right here near the internet, but when they get out by the fields, it's not so good. Plus, you're fighting with 600 kids trying to get on their phone, and everyone's trying to jam up. So we're working on those things to make those things go better. But it has gone really well, and we hope that this will now become the new norm as we move forward.
Very good.
The other thing I wanted to mention is we have, as you may recall, that freshman seminar class, and that is going great. Daniel McCone is a new teacher who's taken that on. We've met to help develop that curriculum for him, and he's really doing some great bar activities with those kids and getting them engaged and connected to the school. We plan to do some surveys with those kids as they get towards the end of the semester to share that data with you about the progress of how that's going, but really excited about how that's going. And that leads me into what James was talking about. It's homecoming week next week, and there's just a great energy this year to start the year in the high school. A lot of good initiatives, a lot of collaboration going on, and it's really fun, because we're really off to a great start. So, any questions you have for me? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I just mention, Christine talked about the custodians. Both the high school and the middle school and Elliott Elementary School, all three, are still short a custodian. And so if you think about it, at Elliott Elementary School, that's basically a third of their workforce is missing. And so that creates a lot of strain and stress on those staff members, and they take great pride in those buildings. And so I just really want to make sure to recognize those people, working overtime, making sure that everything's taken care of. It's a lot, and also the staff just, trying to do their part as well to help the custodians out. So I do appreciate it that they do.
Thank you for that.
We have those employment opportunities open as well.
Yes, we have a number of employment opportunities open right now, so.
Spread the word on that, yes.
Yep.
Wow, that's a lot. Thank
Any
you to
other-
the custodians.
Sorry. Any other comments or questions from the board? All right, then may I have a motion, please, to move into executive session?
I move to enter into an executive session for the purpose of preparation for contract negotiations between MSAD number 35 and the Quapagan Education Association pursuant to Title I MRSA 4056D.
Second, Heather?
Heather, all in favor?